Hey everybody, aloha! Jack Music, Big Island Kobudo. I wanted to make another intro for the video you're about to watch because the first intro is really loud because we're near the airport in Honolulu. So what you're going to watch was recorded on Saturday, November 26th, 2016, and it's an interview with Captain Rick Rogers from Hawaiian Airlines, and he is the archivist at Hawaiian Airlines, and he's going to show us around the archives. So, that's coming up next. Thanks for watching. Cheers and aloha. So, hey everybody, this is Jack Music with Big Island Kobudo, and greeting you with lots of love, joy, peace, and aloha. And we are recording this at about 10:47 a.m., and it is Saturday, November 26th, 2016. And I am outside the offices of Hawaiian Airlines and others right now in a little industrial park right next to the Honolulu International Airport. And we are going to meet Captain Rick Rogers, who is in charge of the Hawaiian Airlines archive. And so yeah, let's go meet him and see what he's got to show us today. Here you can kind of see where we are at. Pali, mountains in the background. Yeah, and let's go in. Lots of beautiful art on the walls. And here's Captain Rogers.
Aloha! Welcome to the hallway going into the archives at Hawaiian Airlines. So, this is room 220-55 at Koapaka Street, the corporate headquarters for Hawaiian Airlines, and this is the archives at Hawaiian Airlines. What we have in here is basically the physical reminders of our corporate history is right here. Hawaiian Airlines dates back to 1929, and we're fortunate to have documents that record our genesis in the minutes to the board meetings for Inter-Island Steam Navigation Company and the Inter-Island Airways back to 1929. Which we were created as an Inter-Island Airways, and in 1941 the name was changed to Hawaiian Airlines. So we do trace our roots, our name back to 1941, but our roots go clearly back to 1929 as the same corporation. So that makes us one of the oldest legacy carrier in the United States, and probably about the second, with Delta having a fairly good argument for, but they were cargo for a while first. So the oldest passenger carrier in the United States, second only to Qantas worldwide, by the way. Anyhow, so what we have here is sets of, I'll just give you a general tour of our archives and the sort of things that we do keep in here. Our documents collection, again, go back to the 20s and 30s, and they're inside those cabinets there. And as I find and recover photographs that are of interest, we of course archive all of our original photographs in archival boxes, you know, like this, and they're still in their original packaging with their original names. And in the other room there, we also keep the negatives. We have the original negatives going back to the 30s in many cases. And inside these drawers here is, you know, the documents that support our history. And as we go along, as I make copies of things, I tend to make more than one copy and enter them by subject or year in a number of different binders for quick reference, so folks can very easily reference our collections that way rather than having to shuffle through the original documents unless they want to. This is some samples of the sort of stuff that we have here. These are our flight attendant classes from our first hostesses, as they were called then, began arriving or being hired in 1943, and these are the various classes up through the 50s and then the 60s. So some of the old girls, when they have the reunions, they like to look at their old pictures. And then we keep, of course, plenty of marketing photographs and others, things like that. This goes to the 70s, 80s, etc. So we've got a very good, complete history of our corporation here. Artifacts, we have plaques and awards. Here's a sample of the types of awards that we have in here. This is a Telly Award that was given to Hawaiian Airlines for some of our television advertising in 1982. We did a very good series. We have modest collections of things like wings over the years. Not necessarily a complete set. Many plaques and awards that look like that. Boxes full of those things. Odd artifacts like the 3D viewers from 1956. Interesting little artifacts that in memorabilia that has come into the collection. One of the things I'm very happy about is we have a complete collection of our in-flight magazines going back to 1976. Every single issue of and it's morphed many different brand names over the years, but we have a complete collection and up to our award-winning On a Home magazine, which is one of the annually wins the awards for the best in-flight magazine. So we're very proud of that. We have a complete collection of that. I'm also very pleased to say that we have a 99% complete collection of our newsletters going back to 1966. So this is the month-to-month history of the company as given to the company. So for every newsletter that's been printed, we're only missing a couple of editions, and we know what happened then anyhow. So we're very happy about that collection. And all of this, then this is a very small sample of our 16 millimeter collection. We also have, I'm very happy to say that we've been working this year in conjunction with the University of Hawaii West Oahu campus, Ulu film studio, and we've archived all of our film, all of our 16 millimeter, all of our 1-inch tapes and 33 millimeter, and VHS tapes are now stored at the University of Hawaii, where they're being redigitized, and they'll be made available to the public through that system. We did all of our films and all of our video, all of our VHS, all of our images, all of our historic images, and much of our advertising has already been digitized, and we're in a constant process of digitizing our entire collection regularly to make it available. And it's coming online slowly through our various websites and social media. So we are sharing our history as best as practical as we go, and we've also made video here. You'll see a green screen right here. We use this green screen. We've done interviews and we've done other made films right here in our studio, interviewing our most senior employees and retirees and getting their stories. And many of those are now also posted on YouTube under I think it starts with the Archives at Hawaiian Airlines channel, I think. One of the things we did 2 years ago for 85th anniversary is we published a history book. This is the third history book about Hawaiian Airlines. This is a very big, colorful tabletop book. It's available through our website and online, and I have quite a few copies here. So this is another way that we've shared our history with the world is through publications. That's kind of good. We have as long as we're just looking at artifacts, this is the time capsule. This is the Hawaiian Airlines Archives time capsule. What's going to happen is this time capsule is project is being developed now to be interred within a new facility that's just being finished up here in 2017. We'll be dedicating, sometime in the middle of the year, we'll be dedicating a new cargo and maintenance facility on the other side of Elliott Street here at Honolulu International Airport. And part of that dedication program will be to fill this time capsule here up with artifacts and store it away with the intention of opening it on our 150th anniversary, which will be in 2079. So it'll be put away for 62 years.
Wow.
Is our plan. Of course, we shall see how that evolves. In the meantime, we're using it as, if you will, a traveling road show. So I'm kind of preparing it now for a retired pilot's party. So the artifacts, and I'll take it to a function, and it'll be filled up with artifacts, of that subject. So it'll have pilot things, pilot flight bags, things like what we call the whiz wheel, our ESB flight computer, which old school guys actually use these. Hats from some of our most senior, now passed away pilots. So we've been very fortunate that family members over the years have donated their family members' artifacts to us. So we're getting artifacts like that. Medals in 1992, 93, 91 through 93, Hawaiian Airlines participated in Desert Storm and Desert Shield, and our flight crews received flight medals for participating in military support operations. In addition to the binders that I've been making and the in-flight magazine collection there behind our little poster girl there, we have news releases back to the early 70s up to today. Various flight manuals along the top, and other publications that have, magazines and such that have had articles about Hawaiian Airlines. I try to collect them. Well, we're in this room, and we'll just kind of you see, I have an assorted collection of artwork, aviation artwork, and models. This collection continues to grow as time goes on, and awards. And kind of back in that corner is a stack of posters and oversized images. That program is kind of the next phase to be digitized. We're kind of working on digitizing the oversized stuff pretty soon. Also in this room, you may notice here below the green screen, we have a complete collection of in-flight uniforms. We keep the primary set elsewhere. We occasionally have some of our flight attendants dress up in period uniforms for various functions. So we keep the premier set elsewhere. So we have a complete set of our uniforms over the years. And I end up with here in the archives, we have kind of some of the extras and stuff. So many of these old vintage uniforms going back to the 70s and 80s, 90s here, up to 2000 and up to today, will be interred within the time capsule. We have as we collect our advertising and other memorabilia like such as that. This podium here is kind of goes along is a traveling roadshow with our very first aircraft. Hawaiian Airlines purchased and is flying the very first aircraft we ever bought. So we actually operate and take people up in a 1929 Blanca pacemaker, which is something we're very proud of. We're the only airline on Earth that is flying its first airplane, not on display, flying. It's being restored again right now, and so we'll have it back in the air by the middle of 2017. We have some display items such as this pillar. We're also having a set of banners made with this in this model, if you will. It's kind of showcasing the various aircraft and uniforms, and some of the highlights of our history are displayed in this manner. This is a set of one of 6, so it's something that we can take with us, to advertise our history that way. I have a couple of other rooms. We'll just stick our nose briefly here in some of our other space. So we're actually we're very fortunate here in this archives to have some storage space for assorted memorabilia and artifacts. Logo store items. From over the years, such as our little stuffed Manulele, a little stuffed mascot thing, creature that was marketed back around the Y2K, around 2000. This is where we keep the media, spare media, the original newsletters and in-flight magazines and stuff. This section over here concerns pilots and aircraft. So I've got flight manuals, operations manuals specific to the various types of aircraft. Documents, because this is just about one type of aircraft, the DC-9, which we've flown for over 50 years now. We've been flying the same type of aircraft, not the same aircraft by any means, but we began flying the Douglas DC-9 in 1966, and today the current, that's this aircraft here, and the current version, the Boeing 717, is our standard inter-island aircraft today, which is the latest model of the what was the Boeing Douglas DC-9. So that's these types of things. Some union documents. We're the union house, so we have we're represented by 4 different unions here at Hawaiian Airlines. So we have a small collection of some of the working agreements over the years, and as you see, many odd artifacts and awards that have been given to us. This is probably one of my when people ask me what is the very most valuable artifact you have, I think it's here. This is this right here. This little piece of metal is the data plate for our very first inter-island aircraft. So we're flying our first aircraft, but the second aircraft was the S-38, which was our 9-seat amphibious aircraft. But there's the data plate. So technically we could build an aircraft around that piece of metal right there. Not that I think we ever will, but anyway, that's a very valuable one-of-a-kind artifact that goes back to our very roots. In this room here, next door, we have a number of, this is, again, inside these lockers here is the documents, this original documents, mostly from 2000 up, go in this room. I'm also the art collector for the corporation, so you'll see stacked and pushed up against the walls and stored behind there, and here in frames and all leaned up all over the floors is not only posters but also framed artwork and framed photographs, things that have gone up on walls. And as our corporate image changes and we bring down the old photographs, that we don't throw them away if I can help it. We bring them in here and they get stored, hopefully to be put up somewhere else as the look of the corporation changes. So I end up with artwork that came down and may or may not go up. Hawaiian Airlines has published a calendar every year. I've got a pretty complete set of frame set that goes back to 1966. These used to be again on the corporate walls. I also have signage. This was a cargo, Hawaiian Airlines cargo sign with the old logo. Every time we change the logo, of course, we have to change all the signs, so I try to grab the best of the old stuff. Also in this room of interest is again more of the artwork and such as that, but this is where I keep the advertising folios. So I have this is for instance, this is our DC-9 as it looked in the 60s. From 1966 to 1973, this was our paint job. So I have posters like this, so our advertising folios with the day-to-day magazine, newspaper and magazine artwork. Some of the original artwork is kept in these binders here, and I've got it's pretty much up to date, back to the mid-50s, up to today in this collection of advertising folios. Also down here, with boxes and boxes and boxes of plaques and awards, things like that look like plaques and awards. So basically, over the years, every time Hawaiian Airlines is very we're a philanthropic, I think that's the right word, the corporation. We give a lot of money away, and we're very careful about it. We don't just throw money away, and you'll see many awards up here, and as we go to the big awards, after we support our community financially, and we're very proud to do it. We're sponsors of the Merry Monarch, many of the parades, and we're participants in most of the big community organizations and activities, Aloha Week, etc. Merry Monarch, of course, comes to mind, and on it goes. So we have a collection of the plaques and awards that are often presented to us, and in appreciation for the money that we were able to cycle through the community in that way. Something we're very proud of, and a legacy that we'd like to participate. Hawaiian Airlines also contributes money for scholarships. We've just given a lot of money away for some pretty high-end computers to some nonprofit organizations and schools here locally. So we're very proud of that sort of thing that we're able to do. And here again we have racks and racks of framed items and koa bowls, presentation ukuleles, some very valuable artifacts. One set that I'm very proud of, and I hope we can get put up again, is I have 50 feather lehua, feather lei. These aren't presentation pieces. These were display pieces that were in our first class lounges for many years, and they've remodeled the first class lounges and taken these down, hopefully to be refurbished and replaced. So for the meanwhile, I'm the caretaker for some very, very one-of-a-kind artifacts. Quite a few of them. They're something that I'm very proud of and very happy to have here. As you can see, things tend to be a little cluttered and eclectic around here. What this wall here is kind of a thinking board, if you will, for some of the historical videos we're making. We've made a set, and they're on YouTube now, again under Archives at Hawaiian Airlines, but we're continuing the history of Hawaiian Airlines set of videos, more or less by decades. So I've kind of made a little slideshow, if you will, with paper, just so it kind of helps me think and plan. It's kind of pretty, and so this kind of a visual snapshot or preview, if you will, of our historical videos. Again, the koa bowls. And in this room here, the last thing I'd like to show you is my business office. This is where, when you email me at captainrick at hawaiianair.com, this is where I will answer the computer, and I'll keep my personal computer and the corporate computer here and ready to go. And this is kind of where I operate. This is my workhorse right here. It's my Xerox work center. So we really keep this busy, both scanning and copying pretty much everything, and again some of the artwork and such as that. So I'm very happy. I've been the archivist here at Hawaiian Airlines since I retired from the flight line in 2010, and so we've got it this far, and we've got plenty more to do. And so that's for the time being, I suppose that concludes our tour of the archives at Hawaiian Airlines.
Before we end, I love
yes,
this picture so much. Can you tell
Which
us
one?
about this Roy Rogers and Dale Evans?
Well, we have so many weird interesting photographs. So this one, for instance, just happened to be in the front of the stack. I haven't really looked at it in years, but yes, back in this was taken in 1956. I happen to know that because we also have a photograph of him. This is Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. For those of you in this baby boomer generation would remember the Saturday mornings of the Roy Rogers show, and Trigger, and Lulabelle. And, Lulabelle was the Jeep. Trigger was the horse. Can't think of the dog's name. But anyhow, this is Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, and this is our promotional team. These people, these were employees of Hawaiian Airlines that sang, played Hawaiian music. They were entertainers. They were professional entertainers that worked for the company for many, and we still have some today. They're not as busy as they used to be, but this was a full-time job for these people, and they would travel the world promoting Hawaiian Airlines and the state of Hawaii. So it was a shared operation between the Hawaiian Tourist Bureau and Hawaiian Airlines, and these folks would travel around. So this photograph may have been taken in Hawaii. It may very well have been taken in Los Angeles because our team would travel there quite a bit. So that's what that's about. This is this lady here is still with us. She's was Miss America in in the 50s. This is Miss America. She also sang with the group, and she still attends our annual banquets. This was our CEO, and these three here are fellow entertainers.
Mm.
So that's what that picture's about.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that one with us.
So many pictures like this that have these interesting stories. And concerning the movie stars, we have back in the 50s and up into the early 60s. Every time a movie star or celebrity would come, we had a photographer who would make sure that they took their picture, at the airplane, usually getting on or off the aircraft. So we have quite a collection of 50s era celebrities here amongst our collection, which is an interesting set of photographs.
And before we end, is there any other specific artifacts you want to show us or point out to us?
Well, that's kind of there's just so many. I haven't really done a numbered inventory of artifacts. That's kind of it. Again, we end up with very high-end artifacts, very valuable things in here, such as this pahu drum. It's just one example of why would a pahu drum be, an ancient Hawaiian type of drum, a museum piece, piece of art like this be here? Well, it was in our Premier Club lounge. It was a decoration. For many years, it sat there with simply a flower pot. They had a plastic plant growing out of it. And, over the years, people said, "Well, why don't you put a drum head on it? Why don't you, it's crazy not to put a drum head on it." And they said, "Oh, we don't know if it'd sound right." So anyway, over the years, at some point, somebody took it upon themselves. This is a Sharkskin Drum. This is as good as it gets. And once they strung it and they did it, they studied the old Hawaiian artwork that they found in the museums and kind of decided on the right kind of knots and the right way to tie it and everything. And I don't do it justice, but this is the art. The musicians tell me this is one of the better sounding drums that is out there. So that's one of my favorite artifacts.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that.
All right.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us here today, Captain Rogers. We're really honored.
Good. Well, it's always a pleasure to have. So again, it's Rick.Rogers, ROGERS, at HawaiianAir.com is if anybody wants to email me and ask questions.
Awesome.
I'm here to serve.
Right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hey everybody, it's Jack. We're back. If you watched this all the way to the end, I want to give you a sincere thank you. I hope that you really enjoyed it. If you liked it, please consider giving me a thumbs up or subscribing or leaving a comment. And if you want to support the channel and see more cool videos with Hawaiian history, please consider making a donation or joining my Patreon. And the links are down below the video in the description. So once again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you. Aloha.